Hello everyone. In our today's session of JForex Indicators Explained, we will be considering one interesting indicator. The name is Elliot Oscillator. You might be aware of the Elliot wave theory using same concept. This oscillator has been designed to consider the wave formation and accordingly it tries to get the entries and exits while keeping in mind the waves of these movements, the existing trend. So let us now head to the JForex for the newly released trading platform from the Dukascopy Bank SA. There is the Euro USD chart with the each candle period defined at hourly. Let me add this indicator, Elliot oscillator. Here it comes. Okay. Now, if you simply observe this, you will see that there are two types of values, output values possible for these indicator, the positive and negative. And you can make a guess that negative is going to denote the bearishness, whereas the positive output is going to denote the bullishness of the underlying instrument. But one interesting thing to take note of is that we have to look at the comparative values, relative values, and not only the absolute values here, because we have to determine on which wave we are going to get the entry, and it is better if we are going for the trend reversal in the latter stages of the existing trend. If the existing trend has been bullish, we want to go for possible trend change after it has run its course, and same principle applies when we are looking for the possibility we want to get involved for the trade only after the bearish trend has run its course and started to show the signs of a possible reversal. So that's how these output values have to be interpreted. And for that, we have to look at the relative values, and then we can draw inference of what to do and how to take advantage of this situation. So, for example, if we look at this change of fortune for the euro around the mid of this month, around 14th of April, here the prior trend was bullish, so we had these multiple runs higher for the euro USD. It continued to rise and rise, and then if we consider the plotting of these Elliott oscillator along with the price action, you will see that the Elliott oscillator values kept rising, and each time around, whenever the Euro USD moved higher, these peak form was higher compared to the prior output. So, in comparative sense, we got to know that this is the next wave, and if we then consider these divergence after these consecutive successive higher highs forming on the output chart of the Elliott oscillator, and subsequently, even though the price did make made a higher high, that was not really the case with the Elliott oscillator output, where it formed a lower high, and as it started to show the signs of reversal, it started to decline. We got the fair bit of idea that now the third wave of the Elliott oscillator is started to show the signs of fatigue, and a possibility of reversal is emerging. So if you were to then go for the short selling trade anywhere close to this, you would have been in a position to catch these trend change from bullishness to the bearishness. Same concept can be applied here. In this scenario, there was this decline trend change from bullish to bearish, and there were these formation of lower lows. And if we consider these output values for the Elliott oscillator, here in these occasions we saw this low being lower than the prior low. But when the price dipped next time around, the low was higher. Now it is a bit difficult in this scenario because there was a change of the momentum from bearish to bullish, and then subsequently again we saw the output value dipping and it making a higher low. So this would have not really been that easy to interpret, but you get the idea that in this case also we saw that the decline, the output was not as strongly bearish as was earlier. So we got the sense that this time around the strength of the bearish trend is not that strong, and we can start looking for opportunities as the signs of a possible possible trend change started to emerge as these Elliott oscillator output values again started to rise. So this time as well, you would have been in a position to profit using these output parameters. Again, here as well, we saw this trend change taking place after these Euro USDs run higher on these two successive occasions where we have seen these Elliott oscillator output being higher compared to the prior high. If we consider these three output values, here you will notice that each time around the high has been higher and then this trend change has come in. Now, if say for example tomorrow we see some sort of retracement and a high which is lower than the prior high, and same observation is there for the Elliott oscillator output as well. If it goes on the higher side, but it doesn't really rise beyond this and starts to decline again, I think that would be the appropriate time to go short in the Euro USD. So we can interpret these Elliott oscillator output values keeping in mind the wave theory, Elliott wave theory, and the possibility of reversal after the formation of third wave, because whenever the trend is strong it will run its course, it will continue to trend in the existing direction. If the trend is strong, we are likely to see multiple waves forming, so we don't really have any reason to go for a trend change in the initial phase of the trend. So that is why we have to allow these higher highs, the pricing formation, as well as the Elliott oscillator output values to make successive higher highs, and then subsequently, if it starts to show the signs of fatigue and divergence when the price action is making a higher high, but that is not really happening with the output of the Elliott oscillator, we can sense the opportunity and go for a possible short sale trade in this scenario. So we are observing this kind of opportunities being generated multiple times in the Euro USD. This is a oscillator, and you can use these indicator for figuring out the opportunities in the forex, in the commodities, in the bullion, as well as in the equity indices, as well as the individual stocks. So you get the wide array of instrument where you can utilize these indicator to look for the profitable trading opportunities in the equity market, where things tend to trade sideways for many days before a strong trend resumes. You can look at these output values and see if the current dip is having a stronger momentum or a weaker momentum, and then you can make the choice whether to go for the with the trade or simply to go for a scalping trade. You can utilize both these choices looking at the relative output parameters will give output value of the oscillator. We can compare the current value to the prior values and see if the trend is strong or if the signs of possible reversal is emerging, and accordingly we can make the trading choices. So you will have to try out these indicator on multiple time frames with multiple instruments to figure out the combination, because there are multiple iterations of the uses. You can use it creatively, but the underlying concept has to be always kept in mind, and then we can tinker around with the edges. We can see how we can customize this indicator for our benefit. Now let us see what we can do in terms of the editing. The concept of the indicator is fairly simple. It simply takes into consideration the short SMA and the long SMA. And here I said SMA because this time around the type of moving average we are using is SMA, but of course you can vary as well. So depending on the type of moving average you use, you will have the plotting of the Elliot oscillator, which is going to differ, which is going to vary quite significantly. And this combination of 5 and 34 can also be varied, but this is a default parameter, default setup. You can go for it, or you can try out different combinations, and accordingly you can make the trading setup to suit your requirement. Also, depending on the kind of applied price you are using, you will have the different plotting. So each parameter, whenever you make changes to these parameters, will cause a significant change in the output. So you will have to see by trying out these combinations, which kind of combination is going to work for you. Then coming to the output, you can go for different color coding for the trend up and trend down. If you feel like, you can have the styling change. So all these options are there to make it look less or more prominent. Suppose if it is looking too prominent, you can go for increased transparency, and now you can see that it is much lower visible on the chart. Levels, we have zero level in place. Above zero is considered bullish and below zero is considered bearish. Coming to the advanced editing option, we calculate on new candle only. If you opt in for this, then the output for the current candle you will get locked and it will remain the same throughout the current candle period. Highlight the time period zone. You can go for highlight the time period zone, and accordingly the calculation period will be highlighted. You can customize the calculation further. You can go for instrument of your choice, or you can simply use it from the chart. The candle period can be used from the chart. So whatever is your chart's candle period, accordingly the calculation will be done. But if you want to vary or simply fix the candle period of the calculation, you can do that. So regardless of your chart's candle period, you will have these calculations done independently of these charts candle period. Spread side can be asked or bid, or you can simply use it as on the chart. So these options are there. Base period. Base period is not going to cause much an impact. So you can try out these changes, but it is not going to change anything. So that's not really applicable parameter for this indicator. So that's all from my side for today's session, where we considered the concept, the possible uses, the customization options of these Elliot oscillator indicator. And I would suggest that you try it out, you give it a chance, see various combinations, tweak or tinker with its parameters to set the desired setup, and accordingly when you are feeling confident about this setup, you can incorporate it in your trading to gain advantage, to figure out the price dynamics and trade accordingly. So give it a try and let me know how it works out for you. Now I am signing off for the day. In a subsequent session tomorrow, I will be back with a new indicator to work with. I will try to explain to you the different indicator and how we can take advantage of this indicator to figure out the higher probability trades. So thank you all for joining in. See you next time around. Till then, goodbye.